Some of you are saying, come on, preacher, celebrate life. If you had to live my life, you wouldn't have anything to celebrate. You wouldn't choose joy. Well, let's get out the Bible, okay? Enough of my talking. Let's see what the Bible says about all this. And we're in Philippians 4 today. And we're going to look first of all at verse 4. And I think you should read this verse out loud with me. Ready? Always be full of joy in the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. Now, I've got to admit, there's one word in that verse that bothers me just a little bit. What word do you suppose it is? It bothers you too, doesn't it? Always, always be full of joy. You know, in verse 11, he says, I have learned to be satisfied with the things I have and with everything that happens. I know how to live when I am poor, and I know how to live when I have plenty. I have learned the secret of being happy at any time in everything that happens. I have learned to be happy when I have enough to eat and when I do not have enough to eat. I have learned to be happy when I have all that I need and when I do not have the things I need. I can do all things through Christ because He gives me strength. Here's what the Apostle Paul teaches us. First of all, to celebrate life and choose joy, we have to accept all that life brings our way. Okay? If we're going to choose joy and celebrate life, we have got to learn to be accepting of all that life brings. Imprisoned, shipwrecked, snake bit, Paul says in verse 11, I have learned to be satisfied with the things I have and with everything that happens. So to celebrate life and choose joy, you've got to learn to embrace a lot of imperfections in life. You've got to learn to accept and receive the good and the bad, the life and the death, the joy and the sorrow that life brings. I came across a word I hadn't heard before. It's a Japanese term. The Japanese have this beautiful word for embracing the imperfections of life, especially when it comes to aesthetics. And the word is wabi-sabi. Say that out loud with me. Wabi-sabi. I'm not talking about the horseradish sauce. Okay. Wasabi, right? Okay. Wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi simply means that when things aren't going well, when life throws, when you put on your pants backwards and they fit better, you just say wabi-sabi. And I hope that'll be your go-to word this week, that whatever life throws at you, you'll learn to embrace the imperfections of the day in, day out living of life. And you'll just say wabi-sabi. But some of us have a hard time saying wabi-sabi. We cannot, that is a lot of fun to say, folks. We have a hard time celebrating life, and we have a hard time choosing joy when things aren't perfect. Some of us are perfectionists. We can't help it. But we can't be happy until all the clothes are cleaned and they're hanging in the closet all in the same direction. Can I get a witness? Now revival's breaking out here in the sanctuary. We can't be happy until the floors, don't point, okay? We can't be happy until the floors are clean. In fact, when I vacuum, I love it when those little rug marks go all in the same direction. It's just a beautiful sight to behold. We can't get happy until all of the dishes are done. Can't get happy until everything on our list is checked off. Anybody know who I'm talking about today? Yeah. Come up close. I want you to hear this. Life is too short to live like that. It's taken me a long time to figure it out, but life is way too short. We've got to learn to live with the imperfections of life. If you cannot live with the imperfections of life, you're not going to live a joyful life. Second, The Apostle Paul teaches us that in order to celebrate life and choose joy, we've got to be flexible. We've got to be flexible. He says in verse 12, he says, I know how to live when I am poor, and I know how to live when I have plenty. I have learned the secret of being happy at any time in everything that happens. I have learned to be happy when I have enough to eat and when I do not have enough to eat. I have learned to be happy when I have all that I need and when I do not have the things I need. Folks, you've got to be flexible to live like that. But that's the reason of his joy. Brings me to the third thing. Paul gives us the secret to being happy. Third, you got to depend on Jesus. That's where you get your strength from. That's where the joy comes from. Find your happiness in Jesus. Depend on him. Verse 13, my life verse. I can do all things through Christ because he gives me strength. You know, sometimes we lose our joy because we're just tired. Look at this last verse, Nehemiah 8:10. I'd love to tell you the backdrop of this story, but it simply says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is your strength.